So as a new or returning player to AdventureQuest 3D, you probably are wondering how to get gear, where do you level up, what classes to use, how the classes work, and a bunch of other questions. So today I would like to be answering some of those questions, and I'm going to be starting off with, of course, none other than these settings. The settings for PC and mobile are more or less the same with a few exceptions, which I will get into. I do have screenshots for comparison. So the first thing on the list of settings that you would want to get into would be the general tab. And on your general tab, you have various options. If you don't want people to whisper you, you turn it off. If you want them to whisper you, you turn it on. If you want people to invite you, you have your party invites, friend invites, guild invites, duel requests. So if people keep spamming you with duels and you don't want that, just turn that off. If you are not in a guild and you don't want people to invite you to a guild, you turn those off as well. If for some reason you are lagging or whatever, these options here can actually help you. So you might want to turn off other players' pets. Definitely don't show the chat bubbles, like especially if you're streaming, because people might see things that are not stream friendly. And if you are like you want to just play solo, you don't want people going to you, you need to turn that friend go to off. Now, the friend go to doesn't always work, so sometimes you may actually do need to relog. As long as we're on this screen, let me just show you that you can actually adjust the game settings from right here. So if you know you're going to an event or something like that that will have a lot of lag, you can just adjust these things from right here before you log into the game to reduce the loading issues that you might be having. Before we log back in to finish exploring the settings, I still also want to just go through this menu. So if you want to know what's new with the game, you can just click on this news post here and it will take you straight to the game's website where you can just browse through all of the design notes for yourself. Now, if you click on select server, how servers on AdventureQuest 3D work is that you can swap servers at any given time. The most populated server is the Red Dragon server, so that's where most people usually play. If you do want to play solo, you can actually just hop onto one of these other servers because they may be less populated, but your ping or your MS will definitely vary. The next thing on the list of settings under the general tab that I want to get into is the highlight targets. I have mine off, but let me just show you what it does. So if you click on this, it highlights the entire enemy so you can see exactly what you are targeting. I leave mine off because, I mean, just personal preference. So if you want to take other players' names off, you don't want to see their names or whatever, you can go through these name options here, name, title, health, guild. If you want to resize your menu, like if the user interface is a little too small, you can just make it bigger by sliding this. I like to keep mine around this size because it helps when I am streaming. The other thing is the text size, and this actually only does affect the chat in the chat box. So like if I were to show you, so some people like to have the chat all the way up there. So if you want to know when something was said in chat or when a particular event happened, you just click this option to enable the timestamps. As for the enemy percentages and stuff, if you want to make the health bar easier to read, I usually keep mine on. So I like to see the entire health bar. So I keep the percentages enabled, and I like to look at my resource bar as well because seeing things in percentages just helps me personally visualize things a lot better. Seeing both the numbers and the percentages. Oops, sorry about that. For this next one, I'm going to be using a range class, and it's the always face target. So let's highlight a mob. Let's turn away from it. If we attack it, the camera automatically turns to it. If you deselect the always face target, because that can be annoying, right? You just turn it off, and your camera doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. So based on your personal preference, the class you're playing, and the situation, you may or may not want to keep always face target on. The free camera is something I'm still not too sure about, so I will not comment on that. The invert X and Y settings kind of just make things really difficult to navigate. So I don't know why that's an option. Maybe some people like it. I leave that there. Or you can tell me down in the comments below. Next is the sensitivity. That's based on how sensitive you want your mouse to be. Zoom speed for your scroll. Field of view, I usually play with mine maxed out so I have a better view of the game. And camera shake is for like when you have like impactful events in the game that the camera will shake. Some people are a bit sensitive to that, so if you are, you might want to dial that down. Now, if we scroll down to the control section of it, this is where the mobile and PC do have a bit of a difference. On mobile, you have the option to change how things are targeted, and on PC, you don't really have that because you just use your tab key to cycle through. So on mobile, just choose whichever cycle option is most convenient to you. It does work 98% of the time, maybe 50% of the time. As for what these things control, for the most part, they are the same. Auto run to target for a single target area spells, auto phase target for area spells, allow casts without target. So I usually have all of these things enabled, and it is situational, and depending on the class you're playing, you might want to change these up a bit. So, but that's for a more advanced guide. This thing here, you might probably confuse prioritize targeting plays in PvP because you're probably thinking that there are no mobs in PvP. This came out when there was the third PvP map, which was the Siege Falls. There were mobs in that map, and I really hope they do bring that game mode back because it was a really, really good game mode. And finally, the auto sheath weapon. So on PC, you have the keybind. Oh, sorry, I'm using a bow class. All right, let's just swap back to warrior. Okay, so you have the keybind for sheathing your weapon. I'll get into keybinds in a little bit. But if you don't want your weapon to be automatically sheathed after a couple of seconds, you should turn off your auto sheath. And if you are doing something where you don't want that delay, because it does have a slight delay when you have to unsheath your weapon, like less than half a second of a delay, but still a delay nonetheless, you may want to just keep that off. And as for turn speed, if you are really sensitive to how fast your camera turns, you might want to turn that down so you turn a lot slower. I leave mine on max because that's my personal preference. Another thing that people are confused about is these settings here under debug. So let me show you quickly what that does. The FPS monitor, I only turn that on when my game is lagging so I can see if I'm dropping frames or not. This just allows you to see what your FPS is, which is your frames per second, and it also lets you know what hardware you are using. So congratulations, you guys now know what hardware I use. I probably do need to get an upgrade at some point. The latency monitor is how you control this here, and I think it does require a relog, but that's how you're able to see your ping or your MS right above your chat bar. If you're on during reset, when the server resets, this usually will spike into like the thousands, so don't worry about that. And the debug output log, to be honest, I've never really messed around with that, so I guess just leave that one alone for now. Let's move back into the settings here. Let's move on to display, and graphics are completely up to you. The higher graphical settings, the heavier the load on your device will be. So if you have a higher end device, you can probably max these out. If you have a lower end device, you should probably stick to the lower side of the graphics. That being said, AdventureQuest 3D does even tank like high-end devices for some reason. I don't know what it is, but if you go to some maps, it will absolutely make your PC scream. I think they're working on fixing that, but we'll see how it goes. For the distance on mobile, you do not have this level of graphical detail. So even if you have grass turned off, you're not gonna be able to really see the difference on mobile. I'm very sorry about that. Hopefully a future update patches grass into mobile, but for now, I guess you get to touch grass by looking at me touching grass. People often get confused when they log in and they see like this black vignette around their screen. On mobile, it is much more pronounced. That's just because for some reason this slider resets itself. So all you have to do is just turn that down and it will be gone from your screen. Depth, blur, and bloom are things that you can enable. It's just preference, personal preference. All right, back in Battlon, another thing I want to show you between the difference between PC and mobile is that this water isn't very well rendered on mobile. Like, it's not as crystal clear, but on PC it is, and that can be a little bit limited for some dungeons. Like in Sand Sea, you do have the what's it called, the sewer dungeon. It's not sewer, it's called something else. But that dungeon, at the end of that dungeon, you have like a big hole in the middle of the end fight area to get out of the dungeon, and sometimes you could like fall in there because you can't see it on mobile, but it's very visible on PC. The next thing I want to talk about is the audio. I usually keep my music off, and that's because I stream and I don't want to get DMCA'd. They are replacing a lot of the music in-game for different maps, but they haven't done all the maps yet, so not all of the maps have stream-friendly sounds. As for keybinds, there aren't much changes I've made to my keybind, but you can go through this at your convenience and change these to your liking on PC. Titles are something a lot of people really like in this game. I have not really changed my title, Knight of the Shattered Heart, since I got it in 2021. But yeah, there are lots and 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 lots of titles in this game. So feel free to knock yourself out while hunting titles on different maps, or buying things from Hero Mart, or being around for the legacy titles. And unlike in other games, there is absolutely no issue with using no title, because these titles are cosmetic only and they provide absolutely no stat benefit. Your titles are also sorted by the way that you get them in ascending order, in alphabetical order throughout the section. So for exploration, that means titles that are hidden on maps or things that you can unlock by going to different areas. For questing, if you complete certain quests, you get certain titles. That's under that section. Under class, you have class related titles. You get a title for getting your class to rank 100. And then there are different titles for like class skins and stuff. You have trade skills. So right now there is just the fishing. I have not really explored fishing too much. You have Guardian, so these are Guardian related titles. The collection section refers to titles that you gain from purchasing collections when they come out. Collection titles are more or less legacy because once a collection is out, it usually doesn't come back as a collection ever again. The items themselves do come back, but the collection variant of it to be purchased as a bundle does not. You also have the Hero Mod section, so things you get from claiming digital Hero Mod items can be found here. And I think that does it for titles. Oh, there are also legacy titles, and you don't see the titles that you don't have because there's no other way to obtain them. So as for the legacy titles, you only get them at like if you are around during the time. It doesn't appear grayed out or anything if you don't have it. Finally, on the list of setting things, there is the delete account option. And I mean, there's no real reason to delete your account unless you're sure you're never coming back to the game. But ask yourself if you're having an emotional reaction or if you actually do want to delete your account and never ever return. They will give you a prompt if you click on that, let you know deleting your account is permanent and all characters, purchases, and data will be lost and it cannot be reverted. So if you do want to delete your account, you will, and you click yes, they will have you type the word delete into the screen. I'm not going to do that because, I mean, I spent a lot of time invested on this account and money. So, cheers. Okay, so next up on this dreaded list of things is the travel menu. There are a couple ways to get around to go to different maps in AdventureQuest 3D. Now, you would think, as a new player, because this is where they introduce you to things, that you travel by using the portal alone. What this portal does is the portal just opens your adventure menu. You don't actually need to be at this portal to open the adventure menu. you'd see this button under here. That's a shortcut to the travel menu. All of these things can be found in your actual menu. For all intents and purposes, the travel menu itself is not something I really use unless it's a specific area I go to, like in Battle On, or I just want to get to the general area. The travel menu itself has not been updated in a very long time, so the best way to travel in game to different areas is by using the adventure menu. You click on world areas and then you can go to any one of these areas. So if you want to get to the heroes hangout, you can find it in the adventure menu under world areas, special locations, and you can go to hero hangout. A lot of people like to host events at hero hangout. Sometimes when the devs hold events, it will be at the hero hangout. But since player housing has come out, more and more player events have been at people's houses, which you can access via using the housing menu. If their house is public, you just type in their name up there in the search bar, and they would be under the owner tab here. A good example of why you should be using the adventure menu to travel instead of the travel menu is, so this may not be for the beginner players themselves, but for later on you will want to reference this. The Fiendlands is the last thing. They only have three options here. You can go to the forest, the monastery, or the wasteland. Over in the adventure menu, however, when you click on world areas and you click on the Fiendlands, you have a whole you have a lot more options here. So you can go to the forest, the monastery, and the wasteland, which are the three that are in the original menu. But you can go to the Ruins of Solace, the Bulwark of Gluttony, the Forge of the Forlorn, Prison of Pain, Hall of Eternal Waiting, and the Shadow Dungeon. So it opens up a lot more areas for you. Another example is in Sand Sea. So in the travel menu, you can only go to Bastion. Here you can travel to Bastion or the Pyramids. Another thing that you are going to want to pay attention to in the adventures menu is the daily boss battle thing. But before we go to the daily boss battle, you should go to the Guardian Tower if you are a Guardian, so that you get the daily. The easiest way to get to the Guardian Tower is to click on classes, click on Guardian, and then you click on get tokens. This will take you directly to the Guardian Tower. If for some reason it does not allow you to travel to the Guardian Tower, it is because you either did not complete the Guardian mini tutorial, takes like 5 minutes, or you did not do the new battle on foothills thing, which takes a little longer than 5 minutes. But if you're new, you probably finished it already. Once you are in the Guardian Tower, you're going to click on this guy, Guardian Tasks, and he has a Guardian Daily, and then you accept that. And now we can open your adventure menu and then go to the daily boss battle. You go to the daily boss, you also accept this quest, which is a daily quest, and it'll give you a couple options to do. Usually you do this on the red server so that there will be a lot more people here, because these things are a pain to do solo because this area is scaled. Like, look at that. You saw how I was demolishing mobs at the beginning of this video because I do have endgame gear and I'm using an anomaly weapon, but the scaling in this game is a bit overtuned, so you're gonna want to have other people to help you clear this out, especially if you have to kill the boss. That being said, these quests do give daily tokens, daily boss trophies, and that can be used to craft things in battle on cosmetic options that are really good. So you're gonna want to do that. Log in every day, do your stuff. Next up in your adventure menu is the main story and the side stories. You don't actually have to start your main stories at the portal. You just need to click on the saga, and if you're at the required level, you just click on it and it will ask you if you want to go there. You just click go there and it will unlock the area for you. It's also a good way to know whether or not you've actually finished the entire quest line. As you can see, I finished the Fiendlands, I finished everything. So the entire main story is complete, because sometimes they don't tell you that the story is complete when you're done. So a good way to check is just to come here and see if it says 100% or not. As for side stories and side quests, this menu is not as extensive as you would expect it to be, but is a good place to keep track of your progress for different side quests. It also helps you get to these different areas a lot faster. Some quests that are not in this menu would be in the Yulgars Inn. You do have some NPCs in here that do have quests, and you'll see them throughout the world. You'll find NPCs that have quests or secret quests, and they are not listed in your side menu. This guy here, Arathon, is one of them, and the Nature Seekers are also there, and this Legion Saga stuff is also not in there. Since we're in here, let me just also mention that sometimes artix shows up here near, like, at the end of the year, and he does have free gifts. That being said, there are some free cosmetics that do come with each collection. Everything is not always a DC release, for example, and when I say free, I mean purchasable with gold in-game and not the Dragon Crystal premium currency. So in the May the 4th shop, you have a lot of DC tagged items, which means that you do need to pay Dragon Crystals for them, but there are also things that you can get for gold, which do also look incredibly cool. But if you do require Dragon Crystals and you do not want to upgrade, you can watch ads. Unfortunately, ads are not available on PC. So if I go to upgrade here, you don't see any watch ad option. But if you go onto mobile, you will see an option to watch ads, and that'll give you a little bit of DC or Dragon Crystals as we call it every single day. You also do have the option to get Dragon Crystals from your daily chest. Let's see if it opens for me today. We are on day 20 for me, and I just got 9 Dragon Crystals. The most I've ever seen come out of this has been 137, so you do have a chance to earn up to 137 Dragon Crystals per day by just logging in and opening that chest. And you can get some buns and some cosmetics. We'll talk more about buns next time, but you do get free cosmetics with that, and if you do have enough shards, so if you log in often enough, or if you get an item that you don't want, because I mean I don't want the boots that I just got, so I will go into my inventory, the Shadow Elf boots, and I will shred them for treasure shards. Now if you go back into that shop here, wrong one, sorry. If you go back into that shop here under chests, you will see buy chest items. And you can see that there are a lot of items in this chest shop. And all of these items in this chest shop are items that you do have a chance to get on a daily basis when you open your daily chest. So that's one way you can get some free cosmetics. These chests do have different rarity values, but every 7 days you have a chance to get a Warlord's chest, which does have the opportunity to give you something that's a little rarer on the scale. Now, it didn't work out for me because you saw what I just got, but hopefully you have better luck than I do. And every 28 days, you have the option to get an Emperor's chest, which gives you a guaranteed good item. And if you don't like it, you can shred it, and that will give you a lot more treasure shards. So those are some ways you can just get some free cosmetics in AdventureQuest 3D. Okay, so next up on my list of things that I want to talk about to help you with your leveling is the daily task system and the daily quests. Daily tasks are things that you can do every day to give you a big chunk of XP, and you don't have to complete all of the daily tasks, you just have to complete 8. I usually try to do all of them except maybe the PvP, because I mean AK3D PvP. And at the level cap you will get some whatever the current rune currency is. Right now it's the Inert Fiendish runes, before it was Inert Sandstorm runes, and you use those to infuse, and we'll get into infusion a little later. But for right now, just know that daily tasks are a really good way of getting a solid chunk of XP to help you level up. Now for this next one, I need to log into my other account. We will go on to the Blue Dragon server, and this deals with storing your cosmetics. So I'll use the travel menu for this one. We just go straight into the bank. So here in the bank, you have bank slots, and how this works is that you can use dragon crystals to purchase bank slots, but you can also talk to this guy over here and you can do the bank quest and you can get a free bank slot. I mean, it costs 500. Oh my god, no, I'm in a quest. Oh no, oh no. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. See what I do for you guys? All right, crisis averted. Now we're back. So usually this guy, once you finish the vault security stuff, you should be able to do a quest that will give you a free bank slot. And when I say free, it does cost a little bit of gold, but it should be easy enough if you've been playing for like maybe a month or so and you get a free bank vault. You should not be able to fill the starter 2 vaults that you get. I believe. I think it's 2 vaults. I could be wrong. You shouldn't be able to fill that in less than a month of being a new player anyway. Now, let's talk a little bit about classes and how they work. So on this account, I do not have all of the classes. The first 4 classes are free, the starter classes. You get these classes by just saying get class, but for the other classes, you do need to probably go to the class trainer. So if I want to unlock this class, I can either travel to where I can unlock it from, where I can get the daily quest, or I can just buy it. I bought Samurai on this account because I was doing a 45-hour playthrough from a fresh account, but for these other ones, I will probably grind them all. So if you want to unlock the Berserker class, you travel to class trainers, and these guys will have daily quests for you to do to earn tokens so that you can unlock the class. Not all of the class trainers are going to be inside the class trainers area. One of them will be in Arya's pet shop. So to get the Moglin class, you talk to Moji Lin. I don't know if I butchered his name. To get the Samurai class, you talk to this guy in Battle on Town Square. His name is Henso. So you talk to Henso and he will have things for you to unlock Samurai. For the other classes, Pirate is unlocked in Lolosia, so you just click Travel. You get Pirate from Captain Rhubarb. So Captain Rhubarb will have your daily. Yep. So you just click on Captain Rhubarb, Captain Pirate Training, and you can do the Pirate Daily. I will mention that you can only do one of these classes per day, and it's something I've been trying to get them to change for a very long time, and I don't know if they will, but let me know down in the comments what you think. You get Paladin class from Doomwood, you get Necromancer from Doomwood, Ninja comes from Westmere, Ranger comes from Robina, and this is probably the first class you're going to unlock in Green Guard, because this is one of the first areas that you end up going to. And did I miss any classes? Dragon Slayer is unlocked in Ashfall. If you want to know more about classes, I do have an entire video that covers each class in depth. So take a look at it. It'll be right there up in the corner in the little card tab. So feel free to go check that out. Next up on our list, we do have the difference between main quest and side quests. The main quests are what you should definitely be focusing on. So this is a class that I speed ran straight to the end story, the end game. And you can see here, I've done everything in the Fiendlands, but it only says 99% complete because you do need to be level 43, I think, for the quest to register as complete. The side quests are not as important, but these are the ones that you would probably want to do as you are leveling up. But I'll talk more about that as when we get to the leveling section. You can pause the video here and take a look at which ones I did. Let me get my face off of the screen so you can see that a little bit better. Yeah, so if you want, you can pause the video and take a look at the side quests that I did so you'd know which ones have the dailies or the ones that are worth doing. Reaper quests, I did that because I needed to get access to the Reaper run, which I used to level up my classes really quickly to rank 5 so I can unlock the ultimate. Burger Hero has a really good daily for leveling. It gives you like 20%, I think, per day. And so does Atlantis, but Atlantis is in the main story area. If you are feeling social and you want to find some people to hang out with, you're tired questing, you're tired killing things, just go to the Yulgars Inn and you will find lots of other players just hanging out. Actually, it's probably not a great idea to come to Yulgars Inn because the chat inside here is not the best. Let me cover my chat back up before I get canceled on YouTube. So anyway, if you're bored and you want to get into some drama, go to Yulgars Inn and have fun. I mean, all jokes aside, it's a good way to meet other players and just hang out. Alright, so this is how you add unlimited friends. If your friends list is filled like mine and you try to add people and it says you have max amount of friends, if they do not have the max amount of friends, what you can do, ask them for their summon code. I asked him for his on Discord. My friend Yogi is going to help me with this demonstration. So you log out, you do not click reconnect, and then you put their summon code in here, and then you go to them. It is very important when you go to them that you do not touch anything in your menus, because if you open your friend menu, it will undo the glitch. So as soon as you log in, you want to add them, and that will bypass your friend list limit. Now, if they have more than 80 friends, if they are also at the limit, then you guys are going to need a third code, and both of you are going to have to relog, click no, and then input the third person's friend code, go to them, and then you guys can add each other like that. Now, AE is aware of this bug, but they have said in the past that they don't really intend on patching it anytime soon, so I would assume it's safe to do. Next up on the list of tips is food buffs. Now, food buffs are an incredibly underestimated thing in this game. You used to be able to stack food buffs, but now you could only really activate one at a time depending on what the buff is. What I like to do is just fish yellow guppers and you can craft these food buffs. Food buffs will give you 3% extra XP, 3% extra class XP, and 20 plus armor. Now, different food buffs will give you different base stats, but the 3% XP and 3% class XP is really what you want to be using those for. The only food buff that is really worth doing is the mushroom stew in the Werewolf Coliseum. So you go to the Werewolf Coliseum, you turn left, you come to the feast hall, and you talk to Chef Rolo, and you craft the mushroom stew. The mushroom stew does have the mushroom stew still has the same 3% XP boost, 3% class XP, but it gives you plus 9 attack, plus 18 crit, and plus 18 haste, which is pretty good. If you have been to the Gold Raven spawns, you can get the Gold Raven Feather, which also gives you 3% XP, 3% class XP, and 5% haste. A good thing to also have is Senna Buns, and you can get Senna Buns fairly easily from Senna herself or from the daily chest. Alright, so it looks like I was wrong. They aren't on Senna. Thank you to Fake Mage for helping me find this. If you click on this chest, I do believe there is a requirement to get this chest, but you can get the Senna's bun for 2 dragon crystals here from this chest. I believe the key is not too difficult to find, but it is rather difficult for new players to access that. So here are 2 alternatives to the Senna bun. You can go to the Underworld Gate, you go to Vost, and Vost will sell you Slice of Dark Cake, which offers the exact same buff, and it's also 2 dragon crystals, and this is a much easier accessible thing. And if you do his daily quest, he will give you 3 slices of dark cake for free. These buffs are really good to have on you while you're leveling, and it will make your leveling process a lot smoother if you use them in tandem um, with the free ones that you can get for class tokens. Let me explain what I mean by that. So if you go into the potion shop, you see you have gold boost, class XP boost, and XP boost. But if you go back to the class trainers in Battle On, if you talk to any one of these, you will have, depending on your class you use the most, if you go to buy gear, you'll be able to buy a class XP boost, which will give you a plus 25% class XP boost. But if you want a regular XP boost, you either get it from the daily chest at random, or you can buy it from the potion shop here for 100 dragon crystals. In my opinion, the actual XP isn't worth it. The XP gain itself is very slow via killing mobs. The best way to get XP is via questing. Next up on the list, I want to talk to you about free travel forums. So travel forums make AdventureQuest 3D a lot easier to traverse. And if you are a Guardian, there are a lot of free travel forums, but you do have to pay for Guardian, so I'm not going to talk about those right now because I want to tell you about free options. Now, as far as free travel forms go, you do have a couple of free options. The first set of options are at Cicero under um, Adventure Daily Boss Crafting. So you have the Daily Boss rewards. I would not advise you to craft these because these are only 70% travel speed. The travel forms that you want to get are the ones that will give you the 160% travel speed. So head over to Warlick shop, which is the magic shop, and you can just click on Warlick, and he has wisps aplenty. These are single use travel forms, but they are 8,000 gold, which is fairly easy to come by. So let's buy one of them, and you can see here in my inventory, let's just click on it. This gives you the 160% travel speed, and you can use these until you have enough DC to purchase the permanent version of them, which are the 900 DC version with travel forms. Another free travel form option, if you like PvP, would be to come to this guy here in PvP Battle Hall, Marshall Firebrand, scroll down to special PvP rewards, and you see that they have the Vamp Dragon skeletal travel form, which is a 160% travel speed travel form, and this is what it looks like. It's cute, depending on your definition of cute, but it is a good, free, easy travel form to get. Well, easy is relative, so let's take a look at the quests. If you think you have a good team, you can do the Marks of Glory daily to win matches, which will give you 600 Marks of Glory. If you do not think you have enough, then you can do the practice matches, which will give you 200. Other than that, you can just earn the Marks of Glory for participating in PvP matches anyway. So it will take you some time, and you can use the Wisp travel forms until you are able to get that perfect one. But my recommendation would be do whatever suits you best. Another free travel form you can get is in the Heartwood Forest. You're going to want to talk to Auden, Heartwood Crafting, and there is the Gift Horse. This will give you wooden horse parts. This is a daily quest that you can do. The Wooden Stallion travel form, which is a 160% travel speed travel form. So you're going to be needing to do daily to get your wooden horse parts and your saliva, which means you are going to need 7 days. So this is the fastest one to get, depending on how good you PvP or how fast you make gold or your luck from the DC chests. If none of those options appeal to you and you have some friends that play the game, you can actually ask them to do you a favor. Let me show you. So I believe it is in the Fiendlands. Once you're in the Prison of Pain, you are going to invite. And you see that little glowing light there? That's where we are going. So ask your friends to go into the portal of the unknown, and in here you will find a Valnaroth, and it doesn't matter what level you are, you will be able to come in here, and once you, I think he is scaled. So if you at least get one hit on him, then you should be able to get the drop. Now, it has a very low drop rate, so you may not get it, but he respawns fairly quick. You may not get it on your first try, is what I was trying to say, but he respawns fairly quickly. So don't worry too much about that. Now, before we get into the leveling section, I just want to talk about this NPC right here because this is a big feature of the game once you hit the end of the game. So, augments and infusion. Augments are basically stat modifiers. You probably noticed by now that you've been getting gear drops and they have these little symbols next to the power of the item. That is your stat modifier. So if I were to click on this and I were to, let's say I were to roll for 4800, it would give me one of these. So this tells you the percentage chance. Ideally you would want to go for this diamond looking one, but most people settle for the 4%, the purple one. So it depends on what stats you're looking for, and it can even add stats to your gear that it doesn't already have. So let's say I have a piece of gear that doesn't have any crit on it, but I roll crit on it, it now has a little bit of crit on it. If you opt out of the screen before you hit confirm, it will tell you that you need to go confirm it, or the augment will be lost forever. So I don't really care about this piece of gear per se, so I will lose it. Infusion, on the other hand, requires infusion runes at level cap, but if you are leveling up, let's say, random pieces of gear that are not level cap gear, and the level cap right now is 45. If I wanted to infuse my Selden clothing, this number here indicates the infusion level. So when items drop, they do have the chance to drop already pre-infused to a certain degree. This was pre-infused to 14 out of 20. 14 out of 20 means that it can maximum go up to 20, and the item's power will increase as you infuse it. I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to infuse infuse this. Maybe it's because I am at a level cap, so I cannot infuse those. It's weird. It doesn't matter whether you augment first or reroll, seeing that some items already come dropped with an augment on them. It is better to do whatever you think you have the resources to do first. At the end game, it will cost you infusion runes. So let's say if I wanted to infuse this, I would need infused fiendish runes. And the way to get infused fiendish runes would be, and he tells you, the way to get your infusion runes would be here. So let's say I want to craft infused fiendish rune. You get fiendish capstones from leveling up every time you hit the level cap once you are max capped, and you get the innate fiendish runes from doing your daily tasks every day. That's where that comes from. These will change as the end cap changes. Before it was the innate fiendish runes, it was related to Sand Sea, and undoubtedly it will change again when the saga changes. As a new player, you are going to be wanting to follow this story. You can do these in order, so you do Death's Lair, the Dragon Rune Portal, Greenguard, Heartwood, Livingstone Caverns. When you do hit Doomwood, you might hit a bit of a bottleneck. You might find it difficult to progress. The first area that may be a bit challenging to you is probably going to be the Shadow Skull Bridge. If you are finding difficulty completing the Shadow Skull Bridge, I recommend heading to Ashfall because you should be high enough level to start the Ashfall saga at that point. After you do that, you are going to head back to Shadow Skull Bridge and complete that once you hit like level 17-ish. You should theoretically be able to do the entire Ashfall Saga without completing Shadow Skull Bridge, but once you do that, or you hit a roadblock on the Ashfall Saga, then you come back and do this. This is going to be how it goes for a lot of your leveling up process. It is not going to be smooth sailing because you are not meant to speedrun the leveling in the game. You're meant to enjoy it and explore all of the other content that the game has to offer. However, that being said, if you do want to speedrun the leveling, you are going to have to bounce between the main story sagas. So at the level of Doomwood, you're going to be bouncing between Bone Cliffs, Shadow Skull Bridge, Ashfall, and once you finally hit Lalosia and you unlock Lalosia, you will be able to do some of Lalosia. And then while you gear up and you level up enough, these guys are level 13. By the time you hit level, let's say 16, which should be somewhere in the Ashfall Saga, you come back and you should be able to do this bridge no problem. On the red server, however, there are a lot of people active, maybe at nighttime, that do come here and they just hang out, and they do help newer players clear the bridge with ease. The next major bottleneck that you are going to have is probably going to be in Darkovia, specifically in the Darkovia Castle. In the story, this guy here is probably going to be your next major roadblock, and that's because his damage is damage over time. It's not necessarily gear based, but it's percentage. It is a percentage damage over time. He is level 23, and even at level 25, 26, you're probably still not going to be able to deal with him adequately. I would wait until I'm like level 27 before I come back, 27 or 28, and then come back with scaled gear to defeat him. The next roadblock you are going to probably encounter will be when you hit Sand Sea, because Sand Sea is going to be level locked until like level 31 or so. And the thing that you need to do in the meantime is just do side quests and daily quests, because you wouldn't be able to access this area until you're a certain level. Even when you do hit level 31, you go do things, and then things are you quest here a bit, and then everything becomes locked until you get to level 33. If you are stuck at any point of your leveling process, let's say in the late 20s, early 30s, and you do need to level up, the dailies I would recommend doing, there are only two daily quests that are really worth it at that level. It would be the daily quest in Atlantis. So let's go over there and I'll show you where that is. Mysterious Islands, Atlantis. Atlantis is kind of difficult to navigate for me because I get lost very easily. But as soon as you load into Atlantis, you just go straight up to Aquella, I believe. There we go, yep. And Aquella will have these repeatable. So you do the daily, which is a soldier's duty, but alongside those, you also do Atlantis maintenance. So you accept these three quests, and you accept the daily, and it takes you about 15 minutes to do the entire thing. If you get somebody to party up with, it'll take you maybe even less than that. Just pay attention to your objectives, because the repeatables do have a little bit more than the daily requires. So just stay at each mob for a little bit longer until you clear out that quest. So that's going to give you a chunk of XP. I believe it was giving me like 20% when I was in my early level 30s. The next daily is a side quest, and you can get that under side stories, Burger Hero. I did not start that on this account, so let me just swap accounts real quick. You're gonna come in here and talk to Wandy, and you're gonna do this daily. You're gonna work the full shift, and those rewards will give you a good chunk of XP. It gives you, I believe, like 10, maybe 15%. I could be wrong, but it does give you a good chunk, and it takes less than 10 minutes to do, because all you have to do to complete that daily is clean up inside here. Just like kill like 5 mobs, if so much. You collect some stuff from down there, and then you cook stuff at the grill. That's easy, that's done, that's an easy 40% off of your level bar, and then you do your daily task, which is easily another like 15%, depending on your level. Alright, so to talk to you about the best way of gearing up, I am on my alt. Yeah, that's actually my name. And I'm going to show you the best way to do it. So I have not started the Fiendlands yet, so I'm going to go to Selden Forest, and we have that beautiful intro cutscene, which proves you do not need to be any level to get here. The Southern Forest is a scaled area, and it is my #1 recommended area for anybody leveling up to gear up very, very quickly throughout the main story progression. At least until level 37, because after level 37, this area does stop being scaled. Saladin is the #1 way to gear up for scaled gear because it is the easiest and the most accessible. The mobs don't hit you as hard. Oh, thank you for the help. Okay, so you see, you get weapon and you get gear. And this is scaled to my level. You can see I get increased stats here. So I recommend spending about like 10 minutes in Saladin and gearing up until you are satisfied with the gear for that level. And then you go continue your main quest, because that gear should help you out a lot. And if need be, you should not need to, but you can augment and infuse it if you do think you just need that little bit of an extra oomph to get where you need to go. For most of the starter areas, when you are gearing up, there is an NPC that you will see at the beginning of the area. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch this. Can I skip? For most of the beginner quest lines all the way up to Ashfall, you are going to see an NPC called Just In Case, and he is going to have gear. So you can see that this gear is really, really good. This gear is much better than what I have. But you can see, compared to the glove that I just got for absolutely free in Saladin, it's not that much better for my level. These are not scaled to your level. This is level locked to 14, so even if I was level 15, it would still say required level 14, and this is where it stops. So after Ashfall, the best way for you to gear up is to do what I just showed you. Go to Saladin, stick around for a little bit, get the gear that you're happy with, and then continue with your main quests. I haven't really done much quests on this alt because this is just an alt that I use when I need to use my phone and my PC at the same time for like events. So a lot of these quests are not started. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this guide. If you enjoyed any of the tips in this video, or you thought any of them were helpful, leave a like and a comment down below. I do stream this game on Twitch maybe once, twice a week. My link will also be in the description, and the link to the Discord server where you can get some help is also in the description. So until the next time, stay safe, be happy, and meow.